Hi there, and welcome to A Song of Ice and Fire Explained. This is a video series where we explain the massive conspiracies going on in A Song of Ice and Fire. If you haven't seen our previous videos, we suggest watching those first. So let's continue on with Eddard 6, A Game of Thrones. This chapter is 4,101 words long. In this chapter, Ned and the small council deal with the upcoming Hands tourney. After the meeting, Jory Castle reports to Ned that Lord Arryn and Stannis Baratheon visited both a brothel and an armourer. Ned orders Jory to identify the brothel and goes to visit the armourer himself. There, he discovers an apprentice named Gendry, who looks astonishingly like a young King Robert. Ned and the small council hear the report of Janos Slynt, commander of the City Watch of King's Landing, about the significant increase in crime, caused by the influx of people arriving for the upcoming tourney. Slynt requests more men. Ned agrees to hire 50 men, setting Littlefinger to arrange the monetary details. When Littlefinger objects, Ned insists that since he found 40,000 gold dragons for the champion's purse, he should be able to scrape together a few coppers to keep the king's peace. Ned also loans Slynt 20 of his own household guard. Ned complains again about the tourney, still irritated that it is to be called the Hands tourney, despite his distaste. Moreover, King Robert still insists that Ned should feel honoured. Grand Maester Pycelle points out that a tourney is good for the realm because it brings the great an opportunity for glory and the lowly a respite from their woes. Littlefinger adds that it brings in lots of money, emphasising full inns and whores walking ballegged. Lord Renly laughs, telling how his brother Stannis once proposed outlawing brothels, prompting Robert to ask if he wanted to outlaw eating, shitting, and breathing as well. Renly goes on to wonder how Stannis ever fathered his daughter when he goes to his marriage bed like he's marching to a battlefield to do his duty. Everyone laughs, except Ned, who is preoccupied by thoughts of when Stannis will return and assume his duties on the council. After the council adjourns, Ned returns to the Tower of the Hand and summons Jory Castle. As he waits for his horse to be saddled, Ned pursues the book that Jon Arryn had been reading prior to his death, Lineages of the Great Houses by Grand Maester Malin. Its reading has proven extremely tedious, just as Pycelle warned, and scarcely a man now alive had been born when it was written. But Ned is sure Jon Arryn had a reason for reading it. As he browses the section on House Lannister, Ned muses on their long history and the myths of their ancestor, Lann the Clever, who stole gold from the sun to brighten his curly hair. Jory arrives and briefs Ned on his interview with one of Jon Arryn's stable boys, the last of the 4 leads provided by Littlefinger. Sir Hugh proved brusque, arrogant, and uninformative. The serving girl could only say that Jon Arryn had been reading too much, concerned about his son's fertility, and gruff with his wife. Meanwhile, the pot boy was only able to provide lots of kitchen gossip, including that Lord Stannis had accompanied Lord Arryn to meet an armourer about elaborate new armour. The stable boy proves just as informative. He swears that Lord Arryn was as strong as a man, half his age, and often went riding with Lord Stannis. This Ned finds strange. As far as he knew, Jon and Stannis were never friendly. Jory says that the stable boy also claims that Stannis and Jon Arryn visited a brothel together. The boy does not know which brothel. Only the guards that escorted them would know, and they were taken back to the Eyrie with Lady Lysa. That Stannis would visit a brothel is very strange, because he is so stern and humorless. That Stannis' name keeps coming up, and that he has left the city with no word about when he will return, also vexes Ned. He wonders why Stannis would leave, and decides that something must have frightened him. Yet Ned cannot imagine what could have frightened Stannis, who withstood the year-long siege of Storm's End by surviving on rats and boot leather. Both Ned and Jory find it frustrating that everyone that might know the truth is 1,000 leagues away. When Jory asks if he will call Stannis back from Dragonstone, Ned says not yet. Ned plans to visit the armourer himself and decides to wear his doublet with the direwolf sigil so the armourer will know who he is. As Jory dresses him, Ned wonders why Renly was not invited on the rides. Ned does not know what to make of Renly with his friendly ways and easy smiles. A few days back, Renly showed him a locket with a picture of Margaery Tyrell. He asked Ned if she resembled Lyanna and seemed disappointed when Ned shrugged. Ned finds it queer that Renly, who looks so much like Robert, would be obsessed with a lady that he thought looked like Lyanna. This is the first hint that Renly and House Tyrell are scheming to have Robert put Cersei and her children aside in favour of Margaery. But when that fails, they instead crown Renly king at Highgarden in a clash of kings and marry him to Margaery so she can be queen. Ned tells Jory that it would be good if Stannis returned for the tourney, but Jory's response makes Ned more certain that Stannis will not. He also wonders why Lord Arryn would be interested in showy armour when he has always considered armour something for protection, not ornament. Ned then tells Jory that he better start visiting brothels, which Jory jokingly calls a hard duty. The streets of King's Landing are crowded, but Ned and his guardsmen Varley and Jax make it through the crowd to the Mudgate, where Lord Beric Dondarrion is arriving with his retinue to participate in the Hands tourney. At the top of the Street of Steel, they find the huge house of the armourer, Tobho Mott. After shouldering his way in, a servant girl notices Ned's sigil and badge of office, and Tobho quickly appears, offering wine. Mott immediately tells Ned that his prices are not cheap, but his craftsmanship is unequaled in the Seven Kingdoms. He adds proudly that the Knight of Flowers buys all his armour from him, and that he can work Valyrian steel. Ned lets the armourer go on for a while, before he asks if Jon Arryn bought a falcon helm from him. Mott says that Jon Arryn bought nothing, only wanting to see Gendry, the apprentice boy. Any hint of friendliness leaves Mott when Ned asks to see the boy as well. In the hot stone barn that contains the forges, the armourer introduces Gendry and shows Ned a helmet that the boy has crafted. Ned notes that the unfinished helm is expertly shaped and offers to buy it. Gendry immediately grabs the helmet back, insisting it is not for sale. Mott rushes to offer apologies for Gendry's behaviour, but Ned states there is nothing to forgive. Ned asks Gendry what he and Jon Arryn talked about. Gendry explains that Lord Arryn asked about his age, if he was well treated, and about his mother, who was dead, but was an alehouse wench with blonde hair. Ned examines Gendry and notices a remarkable resemblance to a younger King Robert, especially his black hair and blue eyes. Ned asks Mott who paid the boy's apprentice fee. Mott claims he took the boy on for free since he was so strong. Ned does not believe this for a moment. Mott admits that an unknown lord paid twice the normal apprentice fee for Gendry and said the extra money was for his silence. Ned decides he likes Tobho. Before leaving, Ned tells the armourer to send Gendry to him if the day comes that he wants to wield a sword instead of forge one. It would have been pretty cool if Ned had been able to recruit Gendry into his household guard, and this is where he and Arya could have first met each other. As Ned rejoins the guards outside, Ned doesn't understand what Jon Arryn wanted with a king's bastard, nor why it led to his death. And this is where Eddard VI, A Game of Thrones ends. Now, in A Storm of Swords, Tobho Mott melts Eddard's Valyrian steel sword, Ice, to forge 2 new swords at Tywin Lannister's request. The armourer admits that he tried to colour the swords the crimson of House Lannister, but despite his spells, the steel darkened to grey and red patterns. However, what he means by spells, we have no idea. One sword is given to King Joffrey Baratheon, who names it Widow's Wail. The other is given to Jaime Lannister, who names it Oathkeeper, when he gives it in turn to Brienne of Tarth. And that's about it for Eddard VI, A Game of Thrones. In the next video, we'll cover Catelyn 5 and continue from there. Now, here are the differences between the HBO TV show and book. In the book, the conversation between Jory and Hugh occurs off-screen. In the show, both Mott and Gendry don't mention Stannis Baratheon accompanying Jon Arryn when he came to meet Gendry. In the show, like everyone else, Gendry's character is aged up. In the books, he is 16 years old. In the show, he looks to be over 20. Anyway, that's it for today's episode. If you want to see more of A Song of Ice and Fire Explained, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, when you get the chance, try out Fantasy Flights, A Game of Thrones board game, digital edition.